Flash is back in a 2-pack. Here's your look at the NECA toys. Flash Gordon versus Ming the Merciless. It's Flash Gordon and his sinister enemy, Ming the Merciless, two of the most famous names in cartoon, comic book, and movie history. This exclusive action figure set is inspired by the classic 1980 live-action film. Both feature authentic reproductions of the movie costumes, accessories, and details. Now, before we get a closer look at both Flash Gordon and Ming the Merciless from this exclusive box set, which, by the way, was a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive, let me first thank the folks over at NECA Toys that did actually provide this sample that we could have a look at in this review. Following up to that, let's go ahead and grab now the ruler, or tape measure in this case, to see how tall the figures stand. First things first, Flash Gordon is about 6.5 inches in height, or he's about 16.5 centimeters tall. We're going to go with that. As for Ming the Merciless, he is just a little bit shorter than Flash. I would say he's probably about 6.25 inches in height, or he's about 16 centimeters tall. Going to bring in a couple of figures now for comparisons. We just recently, by the way, did have a look at the original superheroes, Flash Gordon and Ming the Merciless, so it would make for perfect comparisons to bring those figures in. This is what Flash looks like next to Flash. And you probably see, there's not much does get changed between the molds. Torso seems same, if not for anything, the fact that the other original superheroes Flash does have that belt that holds the holster for his pistol. But other than that, it looks like his torso is the same. His arms are also the same, and also his legs. And while the heads are different from one another, do keep in mind the fact that the original superheroes Flash Gordon did in fact come also included with a secondary head portrait. We're going to compare those two figures in a second. Ming the Merciless, also the same rule applies. This is the original superheroes Ming next to the movie tie-in Ming. And you can see in this case, they are sharing the same head sculpts. And you got to believe that underneath his cloak and cape, they are probably using identical bodies as well. As for the accessories with this 2-pack, they come with movie tie-in accessories, which is pretty cool. First of all, you do get yourself the egg that serves also as a football. It's been nicely detailed, done in sort of an off, not quite full green, but sort of an off grayish green color with some nice gold accents added in there as well. Generally, it's quite light and can easily be held underneath the armpits or like the arm area of Flash Gordon. The figure does also technically come included with a grabbing hand. The gripping hand is actually more so for holding a sword, but I do wish that they could have also included like just an open palm, something that maybe helped palm the underside of the egg. Sadly, that's not the case. He only comes with, like I said, the gripping hand and the egg. And then, of course, the other thing he comes included with as well is a very interesting looking sword. Colored in a very off yellowish gold with some additional red accents added in there as well. The star detailing done in the middle there, as well as the guard and hilt, also nicely painted in opposite colors of gold and red. This can fit into his hand, though not the hands currently that are in the sockets of his forearms. This may involve you having to yank. Yank is probably not the best word to be using. It involves you twisting the hand away from the forearm, just like that, and then replacing it with the grabbing hand, because, of course, grabbing hands are better for holding swords. The plastic is at least soft enough that you don't have to worry about heating it immediately when you get this out of the packaging. And as you can see, he does hold the sword. The thing, again, about the egg, though, is that the only real option that he has is sort of just to hold it underneath his arm, kind of like that, and just do your best to balance everything in place. Again, I just wish that they could have given him a relaxed hand or a partially grabbing hand just to kind of help stabilize and hold the bottom of the egg. Ming's accessories, I guess we can kind of talk about the other accessories for the time being before we talk about the figures. Ming comes with some swappable hands, and that's it. He comes with some gestured hands, pointing hands, controlling world hands. Of course, you can see in all the cases the nicely painted in rings on his pointer finger. And then he also comes with another version of the hand, although this hand does not have a ring. And that's going to be obviously on the opposite side. He only has, as of right now, grabbing or closed fists on the sockets of his forearms. So if you did want to have power-hungry Ming pointing and telling his minions to do something right now, Obviously, you're going to want to swap these hands out too. And again, swapping out the hands on Ming is just as simple as the Flash Gordon we looked at earlier. Just twisting it, removing it from the forearm. I know, I admit this is probably not the most interesting thing to be looking at, but quickly, bear with me. And then just go ahead and pop the peg back into the socket. And now he's actually doing something. He's pointing. It's about all he can really be good at doing. Certainly not fighting. As for the figures themselves, let's just move all the accessories out of the way. Getting a closer look, though, at Flash Gordon. Now, I did say, we're going to bring back in the original superheroes, Flash Gordon, that they are similar molds. Some tweaking has certainly been done. You can see along the top collar section of the original superheroes, Flash Gordon, that he does have all these additional gold buttons that have been molded to the chest. While this Flash Gordon is supposed to have the t-shirt that he has in the movie, and I think it's nicely replicated here. Essentially what they've just done is they've painted it over top of the plastic of his torso. They haven't really defined a liner at all, just to indicate that this is fabric. So it kind of does give you a bit of a read that it looks like it's just been painted onto his chest. But it's fine. At least it does have the deco done in the middle chest area of his shirt, and does have the nice accurate colors that he has in the film, right down to the belt buckle. I think it's kind of cool. Now, while again, this Flash Gordon did have the cowl piece that went around his head, keeping in mind as well, this Flash Gordon, as well as the original Flash Gordon that we looked at before, also came included with this head sculpt. Why I draw this attention to you is not only the fact that they seem to be sharing the same molds, but it also looks to be clearly the case that they went with more of a lighter off tan color, off skin tone tan color when it came to the movie version of Flash Gordon. He's not as bright, not as rosy in his complexion. He's certainly more of an off color. I guess the coloring is a little bit more accurate to the way you would have had it in the movie. Not quite the same coloring as my skin, but it certainly is a lot duller of a color than the original superheroes Flash Gordon. Head sculpts, like I said, other than that, seem to be identical. They haven't necessarily pulled the likeness in this case of the actor that would have played in Flash Gordon. Instead, they're sort of just giving you the suggestion of what the character would have looked like in the film. I gotta say, like, even though it doesn't really bear the likeness of the actor, I think it's done a pretty good job of, again, replicating the way he looks in the film. The reds are nicely done. I mean, pretty sharply applied. You can see a very nice defining line between the alternating black and then the red above it. There's a few little areas here on the chest where the red isn't as solid as I would have liked it. You can see a little bit of the bleed underneath it, but overall, really, really happy with how this one turned out. If you certainly are a big fan of the 80s Flash Gordon film, and who doesn't, also love the Queen soundtrack score that went along with that. It really is a nice looking rendition of Flash from that movie. As for his articulation, his head does rotate all the way around. Keeping in mind, it is the same articulation as the other Flash Gordon we looked at earlier. Head does look up, head does look down, and yes, you can also have it rocking back and forth as well. The arms come out. Now, I would not be willing to sign off on the idea that they come out at a 90-degree angle bend. In fact, the sizing of his shoulders and how close they are in quarters to his torso means that he's going to have a lot more limitations when it comes to having the shoulder area coming out. That's as far out as I can get it. That's about 45. It's about 45 degrees. Arms rotate all the way around. No problems there. He does have a bicep swivel. The figure does have a double hinge on the elbow, although this figure's a little on the tighter side. Hands rotate, yes, all the way around. They also go back and forth. The figure has an upper torso crunch, which again, a bit on the tight side on this figure. And he also does have a waist swivel. Just bending that torso back here. Legs do split out. They do go forward and back. Nice little rotation on the top of the thigh, basically where that's attached to the ball socket joint. The figure has a double hinge on the knee. He has articulation also in the boot, so it seems like the boot obviously is a separate piece from the rest of the leg, and as you can see, it's a lot shinier than the more matte black that's above it. The figure has also an ankle articulation, which also allows the figure's ankle to rock back and forth this way, and Flash Gordon does also have toe articulation as well. That's a nice looking Flash Gordon. Again, if you don't mind the fact it doesn't look like he does from the film, at least from the face standpoint, it's really a nice looking, accurate read on Flash Gordon as he appears in the 80s film. Then on to Ming, and one would certainly say that Ming has the more elaborate of the two costumes. Picking the figure up right now, one thing they did do for Ming, which I do like, is that they included some additional shinier fabric. Now, of course, if you were to pull away all of this, flipping this over to the shoulders, and sorry, Ming, just lifting up his skirting here for a second, and bringing in then the Ming that we looked at before from the original superheroes, it is the same body, it is the same arms, it is, in fact, also the same head sculpt. And in this case, actually, it's the opposite to Flash Gordon. Ming from the original superheroes, of course, has more darker, off-green coloring skin, whereas this Ming definitely has more warmer complexions. While the head sculpts are the same, I have to actually give it to maybe the original superheroes Ming for having just a nice darker coloring of the green that they've added in there as well. It really gives him an off sickly color to his skin tone. But this being still Ming from the movie, I actually do like the way they've sculpted it. Again, it doesn't bear the resemblance at all of the actor that played Ming in the movie, but, you know, still, it actually does give you a pretty good read of what Ming does look like, right down to his costume. I think really where NECA sells these figures the best on is the costuming that they've replicated from the film. And Ming, of the two figures, definitely does the better job of it. This material that they ended up using, it has a nice real sheen to it. As I tilt this back and forth, you can see the studio lights bouncing off of it. Really has a nice pattern work to it. Very, very cool looking fabric. And again, like that's wrapped. So he's got a cape basically on the back of his torso. And what they've done is they've taken the cowl piece or the top of the back cape. And they basically put that over top of the cape. That keeps everything together. So you can't remove the cape. The only way you would be able to is actually take the back crest off like that and just remove the whole thing in its entirety. But yeah, it does wrap around to the front. You got the two straps in the front and a big long flowing cape on the back. I know I've already said this already, but I do like the material that they've used here. And then for the lower skirting, again, I'm just going to move everything out of the way here. Not only does he have a much more elaborate looking sculpting here on the torso, which is just a continuation really of the crest on the back of his cape, but he also has some additional sculpting here for the belt area that carries on down to a softer plastic skirting with some additional dragon deco. Really like the way that was handled. And then of course you just got the continuation of that same material underneath. And if you were to lift this up, being so indecently handling Ming here, you would of course see, yeah, it's the same, it is the same legs as what we got before. No problems with that at all. The boots are separate, as they would be the case with Flash Gordon. Of course, we'll look more at that in the articulation of the figure. But yeah, the boots are being a separate piece, and they are differently colored than the rest of his torso. For the articulation on Ming the Merciless, it's pretty much the same stuff as what we got with Flash Gordon, and it is also the same stuff that we got with the Ming that we looked at before, but the head does rotate all the way around. Just be careful. Just be careful of that beard, because that's going to now have to worry about dealing with this half crest that's behind him, and then, of course, is going to butt up against that. Head does, though, however, look down. It does look up, and it also rocks back and forth. So if you want him slightly crazy and power hungry, you can rock his head off to the side like that. Again, the arms do come out. Surprisingly, actually a lot better than Flash Gordon. I seem to be able to pull a better range of motion on Ming's torso's arms, unlike what I was able to do with Flash Gordon. Isn't that kind of strange, eh? The arms, though, rotate back and forth this way. He does have a bicep swivel. The figure does have a double hinge again on the elbow. Hands rotate again the exact same way, hinging back and forth. Upper torso crunch. Although more of it is obviously hidden underneath the belt that they've sculpted in there, but he still has the crunch in his abdomen. Also does still have the waist to swivel. And if providing you can get underneath the material, Ming's legs do actually give you a decent splits. You can bring the legs forward and back. And again, like the Flash we looked at already, he has a swivel at the top, double hinge on the knee. I know, yada, yada, yada. Swivel on the boots, upper torso or upper ankle joint, ankle pivot, and also toe articulation as well. Once again, we'll just bring back in those figures so you can see again the difference between the two. Really, for obvious reasons, this leans more heavily to the people that aren't as big of a fan of Flash Gordon, maybe in the comics or the serials, but certainly are bigger fans of Flash Gordon in the 80s classic film. Again, we'll bring in their counterparts from the original superheroes. I do like the look of Flash Gordon. In fact, actually, the skin tone that they went with, it actually is a nice color choice. Ming the Merciless definitely has the more elaborate of the costumes between the two characters. I still think I kind of like Ming's head sculpt, though, from the original superheroes just a little bit more because it does have that sickly off-green tint that they've added to the plastic. But certainly, again, if you guys are fans of the 80s Flash Gordon film and would like to get figures tied into it that don't necessarily bear the likeness of the actors that played those characters, this is a great set to be picking up. As I said already, though, it is a convention exclusive, so picking one up now may be a little harder to come by. For me, I look at this set as being more inspired by the 80s Flash Gordon movie and not necessarily characters based on the film. Because of that, it doesn't bother me as much necessarily that Flash Gordon doesn't look at all like actor Sam J. Jones that played him in the movie, nor does that Ming the Merciless look anything at all like Max von Sydow. You get sort of the suggestion that they look like them. This set, I think, caters more to the collectors that were already gunning to pick up the Flash Gordon and Ming the Merciless from already the 2 respected waves that we've gotten so far from NECA Toys, and simply want now to get this set because this has the movie accurate colors and costumes. Really where this set sells the most is the way they've painted the figures, at least from their costume standpoint. Ming the Merciless looks absolutely gorgeous with the additional fabric that they put on both his cape and the bottom of his cloak. This is really where I think this set sells the most. They do also have, of course, movie tie-in accessories. Still, though, I kind of wish that they could have given a relaxed hand or a partially grabbing hand for Flash Gordon to properly hold the egg. The only other option is really to have it underneath his arm, or again, you can opt instead just to have him displayed with the sword. Not really sure which way I'm going to look to display this, but I do like the look of these figures. But I was already a big fan of the Flash Gordon and the Ming the Merciless before, and again, I just feel like this is a continuation of it with really cool movie tie-in colors and costumes. What do you guys think of this set? Is this something that you guys would be interested to pick up for yourself? As I already said, that this is a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive, so it was a little harder to come by, and of course now if you're looking to pick this one and track this one down for your own collection, it's probably something that you're going to have to look online in third marketplaces like eBay and places like that. A big thank you, though, to the folks over at NECA Toys that did provide this sample of the Flash Gordon versus Ming the Merciless set that we could have a look at in this review. If you are new to this channel, by the way, and you're enjoying the content that you're seeing, if you haven't already done so, make sure you hit the subscribe button down below. Turn on the bell notification so you're always going to get those friendly reminders of whenever new videos are going to be popping up. And at the very end of this playlist, if you certainly would like to check out more from NECA, there's a whole playlist of NECA reviews after this video that you can click on and watch at your viewing pleasure. Definitely going to be a lot more stuff coming your way, guys. As always, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.